Hey sisters, you're back with The Real and the Raw with Shelby and Jessie. So this is the first official episode. And today we're going to be picking on Jessie. Where I'm going to be asking her a bunch of questions. We're also going to answer some of y'all's questions at the very end. But today we're going to talk about Jessie's story of her getting pregnant before marriage. So we're really excited. I know a lot of people have a bunch of questions about this, but let's get into it.
Okay,
You ready, Jess?
I guess.
Okay.
Shoot me with it. Let's hear it.
Let me see which one I want to pick first.
Okay.
Let's keep it easy first. How did you find out that you were pregnant?
I was 8 days late for my period, and this was like during COVID time. So normally when I was like about to start my period during like the COVID era, I would be like a few days late. Like my period before, I was like 5 days late.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is no biggie. This is so normal. And then 8 days comes around, and I was like, probably need to take a test. So I made Bryson, this is when I lived with my brother at the time. So I made Bryson go and buy tests at the Walgreens, like right up the road. And I took a test, and he was being so impatient. He was outside with my brother while he was shooting his bow, and he was coming in like every 3 seconds, like, you got it, like, you got the results. I was like, no. And I was so confident. I was like, this is so not going to be positive. Like, I wasn't a bit worried. And then when I saw that it said pregnant, I feel like I blacked out because I have no idea what was even going through my mind. But I just know that Bryson's face turned like
white
as white could be. It was quite interesting. So now every time we go to my brother's house, we kind of get like a weird feeling. Yeah, like, you know how like the smell of a place reminds you of a time or something? Yeah, every time we go in there, the smell is just like, oh my gosh, this is when we found out we were pregnant, and we were freaking out.
That's so funny. You were at Hunter's?
Mm-hmm.
Did Hunter know that you were taking a pregnancy test?
No.
Oh my
right
gosh.
After we took it, we were just like, we gotta go. So we just left.
Poor Hunter.
I know. We just left and went to Bryson's parents. It was crazy.
That's wild. Okay. Okay, that answers the next question. The next question was going to be, how did you both react to finding out? Which you could go into a little bit to it.
Yeah, I could go into a little bit more detail about that. He thought I was kidding. He was like, you're kidding, right? And I was like, no. Like, I turned him, and we only took one test. We didn't think to take any more. We were just like, oh, yeah, I'm definitely pregnant.
Did it pop up like so fast?
No, it took the full like 3 minutes.
Okay.
You know, it takes 3 minutes for the test or whatever. But he thought I was kidding. And we didn't take any more tests. So we were like, you know, some people take like multiple. Too.
Right,
some
to make sure. Yeah.
Sometimes. But we didn't even take any more. We were like, oh gosh, we're pregnant. And he thought I was kidding. And I just went into my bedroom and like sat on my bed and like thought I was going to faint. You know, I'm prone to fainting.
Yes.
So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so going to pass out. I went and sat on the bed and just like
silence. I don't know what I would.
Silence.
Yeah.
I don't even know what was going through my head because I was just like, I just feel like a million things were running through my head. A million things.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh God, it was crazy. But it's just such a blur, that time, because that time in my life of what I was doing at the time, I just feel like I've lost a whole little piece of my pregnancy journey of when I found out I was pregnant, because I was just like, all the emotions going through my head, all the thoughts going through my head was just like crazy. Like, I don't even remember like my first 2 months of being pregnant because I was so out of it.
And you were probably still processing.
Yeah, I was so, I tell people I was depressed. I don't know that I was depressed, but I could have been. I don't remember any of it. I have no idea what my first 2 months of pregnancy was like.
That's crazy.
Of what was going on, everything, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah. Jeez. Okay. So,
I'm scared I'm gonna spill this.
You're good. Okay. How did both sets of parents take it?
Oh, this is a good one. Well, right when we left Hunter's, we went straight to Bryson's parents.
Okay.
So they were the first people to know that we were pregnant. And Bryson's mom and dad handled it so well. Bryson's dad, the first thing that he said was, if I have to quit my job to watch him, I will in a heartbeat.
That's so sweet.
So that was very comforting. And his mom was just like, everything's going to be okay. She actually told us to take another test just to be sure. So when we got over there, Bryson had to go back to Hunter's to get the other pregnancy test we left there. So Hunter was probably just so confused on what was going on.
When did Hunter find out?
The next day.
Okay. So he was like, that's why y'all were being so weird.
Yeah. So we took another test and it indeed was pregnant. And Bryson had actually just started college because he was in the military.
Mm-hmm.
So he was going to go to school because military pays for your schooling. And all him and his mom were talking about was like, what are we going to do about school? Like, what are you going to do about school? He clearly dropped out, which he kind of wished he would have made it through, but we couldn't live off just my income because we were about to have a kid.
Yeah.
It was scary. And then we told his parents and they were totally fine with it. Like, they were not a bit concerned or worried. Now, my parents, on the other hand, I was terrified just from the background. Not that Bryson wasn't raised the same way that I was, but my family runs deep on the religion of Christianity.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just a huge, especially when you are raised Southern Baptist.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of guilt that you get from that, from a church where you come from like that, is just like, they look at you and you feel like you're getting stabbed in the stomach or in the heart. It's like a dagger straight to the heart, the looks that you get from the Southern Baptists, which is such an awful thing to say because not all people are like that.
And not all Southern Baptists are like that.
No.
I think it just depends on who the person is.
Oh, for sure. And so with that being my background, I was terrified to tell I was more scared to tell my dad than my mom. But I decided that I wanted to wait until my mom in person and my dad because I didn't go. It was like 10 o'clock at night at this point. So we weren't going to go over there that late.
Mm-hmm.
And
if y'all can hear the washer, sorry.
No, I thought I stopped it. It's probably just draining water because it's open. Anyways, it was 10 o'clock at night and we had decided that we didn't want to tell my parents till the next day because we wanted it to be in person.
Mm-hmm.
And tried to sleep that night. Bryson slept just fine. I, on the other hand, didn't get a lick of sleep. I actually woke up at 6:30 that morning and called my mom, told her I had to tell her something, and I was just in tears, and I told her over the phone that I was pregnant, crying. And the first thing she said was, "Why are you crying?" I said, "Mom, I'm pregnant." She said, "Jessie, everything's going to be just fine. Like, you do not need to worry. Everything's going to be just fine." That's going to make me cry. I know. I didn't expect those words from her, but I was quite shocked that she was just so calm. So I told her that I took off work and Bryson he was in school, but we both went over there like right when we woke up. I let Bryson keep sleeping and we went over there at like 8 a.m. We waited for my dad to leave for work because we wanted to tell him in person too, and we didn't want to like bombard him with that right before he leaves for work. So we went over there and literally hung out with my mom all day and waited for my dad to get home from work, waited for my brothers because we were going to tell my brothers in person. And I cannot remember if it was either one of my brothers that got home first or if it was my dad. But I want to say it was my dad. And he got home and the first thing he does when he gets home from work every day is crack a beer, drinks a beer right when he gets home from work. So he went in his building and he got a beer and he was taking a sip and we were just sitting there I was shaking so bad. I was so scared. And right when he took a sip, Bryson decides to say, "We have to tell you something." And he said, "All right, let's hear it." And Bryson was the one who said it. He said, "We're pregnant." And Dad hit the beer out of his mouth and started laughing because he thought we were kidding.
I could see that, yeah.
But we brought the pregnancy test with us just to show. And
could you even talk at this point?
No, I was just sitting there because I was so scared.
Yeah.
Like, you know when you're nervous and you're talking and your voice gets shaky? That's like, there's no way I could have said anything. And my mom was sitting there with us, of course, and she was like, "No, they're serious." And didn't say anything to me in person, but, well, with Bryson beside me, not in person, but with Bryson beside me, and he was just like, why didn't y'all use protection? Like, just going through all the things, like, are you not on birth control and all the things, and Bryson was actually really scared for his life. If you know my dad, he looks scary and intimidating, but he's a big teddy bear. But when he gets mad,
He gets mad.
he gets mad. And then all my brothers started coming home. I have 3 brothers, by the way. So one of them would come and we would tell him. One of them would come up and we would tell him. I don't even remember their reactions because it was such a blur. I know.
I
That
wish you
time is
did.
just such a blur. I think my oldest brother, Austin, his was the best. He was like, wait, are you serious? And we were like, yeah. And he was like, oh, I can't wait to be an uncle. He
Oh,
had a really good reaction, but not that the other 2 weren't excited to be an uncle, but I just think they thought we were kidding. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people thought we were kidding when we would tell them that we were pregnant. But I remember Bryson went home back to his parents' house because when I lived with my brother, me and Bryson would have sleepovers, like during the week sometimes or on the weekends. So I decided to immediately move back in with my parents because I was so sick. And when you're sick, you just want your mom.
Yeah.
Nothing like a mom make you feel better.
Yeah.
And I moved back in with my parents, and Bryson left, and my dad came in the living room where I was watching TV, and just sat and talked to me. My mom was in there too, but he just sat and talked to me, and he was like, listen, everything's going to be okay, but I'm just very disappointed in you, and I expected this from one of your brothers, not from you. And that cut so deep.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't even speak after he said that to me. But now, like, he is so obsessed with this little boy that we have.
Yep.
And he wouldn't have it any other way. It took him a couple of weeks to, like, soak it all in. But
Right.
now he was the most supportive. He was probably one of the most supportive people when I was pregnant. He was so excited. He kept coming up with all these names that we wanted us to name before we knew if it was a boy or a girl. He kept coming up with names that he wanted to be called. I think one was Junebug, and I was like, what?
Junebug.
Junebug. I was
Oh
like,
my
why do you
gosh.
want to be called Junebug? But he was just so excited. But
Yeah.
it did take a couple of weeks for him to
Adjust. Yeah, that's a hard pill to
sink
swallow.
in,
Yeah.
take it all in and realize that he's about to be grandpa. And then the whole getting pregnant before marriage was one of the big things that he kept circling back around to. Like, you know what you're doing, right? And I was like, no, I don't, but I know what I did do.
Yeah.
And I've asked for forgiveness for that, and that's all I can do. But yeah, they were
Well,
good
they were all supportive.
Yes. Once they found out, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, what were you most afraid of? Either like mentally, physically, like all of those things. What were you most afraid of?
I have a lot of answers for that question. But my biggest thing was, one, what people were going to think of me and what people were probably talking about me and Bryson. And 2, this is so weird. Belly button, like my belly button. I was so worried about my belly button getting so weird. Like, you know how, like, your belly button
It like some girls go out.
Yeah, I don't know why, but pregnant bellies freak me out. And so I was about to be the one with the pregnant belly, and
And that's what freaked you.
yeah, I was so worried about my belly.
Oh my
Like, what my
gosh.
belly would look like.
So you weren't worried about, well, I mean, toward the end you were freaking out.
Oh my God, yeah. More towards the end, but like at first, the main thing was like, which is so silly of me to even care what other people are saying about me or thinking about me and Bryson.
But it's a thought there. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It was a thought the whole time I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And then when we got engaged 6 months after, well, 7, 8 months after dating, like, one of our friends that is friends with somebody around here, like the first question they asked one of our friends was like, "Oh, are they pregnant? They've got to be pregnant," which
Yeah.
is a sucky
And
conclusion
I
to
feel,
jump to.
well, also, I feel like being young and also getting engaged, everybody assumes that.
Oh, absolutely,
Like, just for
absolutely.
some reason, it's when you, like, that age group, when you
Mhm.
get engaged so young, they're like, oh, she's pregnant,
Yep.
which is so wrong.
It is.
But
It's a sucky situation when that's the first thing that people want to jump to, but then that circles back around to like what people are thinking about you or saying about you, and
yeah.
thinking like, well, what are they going to think of me now?
Mm-hmm.
Or like, what are they saying about my family because of where I come from? And my parents would stand up for me in a heartbeat. Bryson's parents would stand up for the both of us in a heartbeat. Um, but I don't know. It was just I I cared so much about my reputation, and
Yeah.
I think I could say the same for Bryson. I'm not going to speak on his behalf, but I feel like he would say the same, worrying about his reputation.
Yeah.
Because if you know Bryson, you know he's knows everybody in this town, and I know different people, a different section of the town.
Right.
So I'm like related to almost everybody around here. Um, but we just had so much happen so fast, to getting pregnant at 6 months of dating, to getting engaged at, I don't remember if it was 7 or 8 months, and then buying a house, getting married in the yard of the house that we bought, renovating the house, and then having a kid.
Yeah.
So we had everything that happened to us in under a year that like most couples get to not plan out, because you're never going to be able to exactly plan out your whole life the way you want it, because it's not in our plan.
Yeah.
But that most couples get to 3 to 5 years to just themselves,
Right.
or like a couple years at least. But we never got to,
Or like to just have the conversation of like, let's start trying.
yeah, and we didn't really get to experience the dating stage really long, or the engagement stage really long,
Right.
or the honeymoon
Yeah.
phase, really long. We just had to jump right into it.
Yep.
We didn't have a choice.
Well,
But we wouldn't have it any other way,
that's right.
because
And y'all killed it. So
we're not by any means doing anything right, but we're doing the best that we can.
that's right. It's the only way you can. Okay. What about support system with friends? How did that go?
Wow, really getting me on
Loaded
that
question,
one.
sorry.
Yeah. Um,
By the way, she didn't know any of these questions before
no,
asking them. I kind of just threw her to the wolves.
I'm actually having to
Think
think.
about it on the spot.
Yeah. Well, if you know me, you know I don't really have a big circle. Um, I like to keep my circles pretty small. But I had, I need to figure out how to phrase this. I wouldn't necessarily say I didn't have support from friends, but I just feel like anybody pregnant could testify to this, or who has had a kid at a younger age, and coming from the stage of life that I was at, which was going out and drinking all the time, and not going to sleep at 2 a.m. and waking
Yeah.
up and doing it all over again the next day. Not every day of the week, to clarify, on the weekends.
You're just saying a little party phase.
Yeah, your party phase. I feel like people do go through those. Some do, some don't. But I just feel like I said, I feel like any pregnant person could testify to this, or if you've had a kid. I wouldn't necessarily say you lose your friends, but you don't get included in things at my age. Let me clarify, at my age,
Yeah.
I didn't get included in things much anymore, because I get it. Who wants to hang out with a pregnant girl who like can't do what your friends are doing?
Yeah.
Or what you used to do.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I think it's also Like it was since it wasn't in the plan. I think it would have been hard to expect anything more than just I'm here if you need me kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at that age, you don't know, like
Right.
your friends don't really know how to like take care of their friend who's like throwing up every 5 seconds and like
Right.
doctor's appointments and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So like
Absolutely.
I could yeah.
But my friends were very supportive. My cousins were very supportive, which my cousins are my best friends.
Yeah.
I had a great support system and my friends were great support systems, and it's not their fault by any means, because I can't say that if you were pregnant right now, I can't say that I would invite you to go get brunch with me.
Yeah.
Because I probably
and like drink
wouldn't. It'd be
mimosas
like
and
because I wouldn't want to go.
yeah.
But it's just a thought. I did cry a lot because Bryson's friends were always hanging out with him and always wanting to do stuff with him.
Yeah.
So we hung out with his friends a lot during my pregnancy. But I did still have a couple of my close friends still reaching out to me, still checking on me. They would ask me to do stuff sometimes, but I kind of feel like they may have felt awkward asking me to do that stuff. I don't know that they did. I definitely would say I had a great support system from most of my friends.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't know. I can't speak for on their behalf.
Yeah. But you had the support system that you needed to
absolutely,
to get through.
100%.
More than enough.
100%. 100%.
If you could have done anything differently, what would it be?
This is deep. I was not happy when I first found out I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And I think that's what put me into that depression stage. I don't know that I was depressed. Did not go to a doctor for it. In my head, I was depressed.
Those are real emotions.
Yeah.
Those are real.
I would definitely be excited so that I could remember, and like, you're supposed to be happy when you find out you're pregnant.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be full of joy, and I just was not. I was very, very mad. And I was questioning God why it was happening to me. But now I have an almost 1-year-old, and I wouldn't trade it for the freaking world.
I know.
I would just be more happy so that I could actually remember and enjoy my pregnancy.
Yeah.
Wouldn't beat myself up too bad.
That's right. This is deep.
Hair in my mouth. Oh gosh.
This is a deep one.
Let's hear it.
How did getting pregnant and being a mom change your relationship with the Lord?
Well, like I just said in the previous question, I was mad.
Yeah.
So I was not in my Bible like I should have been at the beginning of my pregnancy because I was mad.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to church. Not because of that, but because I was so sick.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was just Satan was getting in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And making me, when you're about to throw up and you just think, oh my gosh, I'm about to throw up.
Yeah.
I'm about to throw up.
Course.
So you getting in your head, it just makes it 20 times worse.
Yeah.
And then I don't know when or what made me snap out of my depression. I'm going to put quotations around my depression stage, okay? Whatever made me snap out of my depression stage, I signed up for the nursery at church, started working the nursery at church out of nowhere, just started doing it, pregnant, not married, at church. No judgment whatsoever.
And that's what church is about.
Fully supportive, kept trying to fill my belly for kicks. I wouldn't say I don't know how to word this. Let me think for a second on how I should word this. Maybe I shouldn't say that. it definitely did grow my relationship with God because I was praying so much when I snapped out of my depression. I was praying before, but I was questioning him,
Mm-hmm.
asking him why. So I was praying a different kind of prayer than I was at the beginning of my pregnancy. Um, I met new friends during this time because I was at a different place than my other friends. And I was just asking for
Any type of
guidance,
guidance, yeah.
asking for any kind of help. And he brought girls into my life that I am still friends with and have gone through the same thing that I've gone through, which is awesome to think about.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying I'm going through something so awful and bad because I haven't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what going through something awful and bad is like. But at the time, I thought it was something awful and bad. But I feel like I went through such a rough patch of being so mad at God
Yeah.
that it didn't draw me away as much as I thought it would looking back at it. But
Yeah.
at the time, I was in a dark place.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be around my husband, but
Yeah.
baby daddy at the time. I didn't want to, I barely talked to my mom. I barely talked to my dad. I didn't talk to my friends. I was wearing loose clothes everywhere I went because I did not want people to know I was pregnant.
Do you think that like time of being secluded from other people made you rely on the Lord more for
Absolutely, 125,000%. And I think that during that time that I was so alone, which I wasn't
yeah,
alone, but
right.
like just I had time to sit in a room by myself at my parents' house, an empty house. My parents are empty nesters. Sitting at a house by myself and just cry.
Yeah.
Literally just cry. Like I don't even, one, pregnancy hormones, but two, like just crying out to God during that time and having actual tears and literally being alone was like an experience that I cannot even describe because one blur.
Yeah.
One blur. But two, like I feel like I grew so much as a woman as just being an independent woman. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Like not having to rely on my friends to tell me everything's going to be okay, but that I can be confident within myself and be like, I am okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a baby and I may not do a good job at it, but I'm going to freaking do it.
Yeah.
And I don't care. Like, I don't need, this is awful, but I don't need this girl and this girl and this girl to approve of what I'm doing.
Right.
I only need God to approve of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't even need my parents to approve of what I'm doing, but thank God they do.
Right.
But like, I don't know. I definitely feel like it made me be more okay with myself and being okay. Like just being okay.
Yeah.
Without having an army of 6 girls who have all different personalities.
Yeah.
Like I don't need if they're not meant to be in my life, they're not meant to be in my life,
Yeah.
And I just feel like in that time of being by myself and just being with God at my parents' house, I was supposed to do that.
Yeah.
There was a reason I was there and I was in that dark place.
Right.
Because when you're in a dark place, I feel like sometimes it makes you grow closer to God when you're just in a hole, I guess.
Yeah.
And you don't know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
And you have no other choice but to call on God, call on the Lord, instead of calling on your friends,
Yeah.
instead of calling on your parents, instead of calling on your husband.
100%.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes.
I feel like I'm just babbling at this point.
No, I think that was great. That was great. And then we'll get into the Q&As.
Yeah.
Sorry, I gave her a lot of questions, and also this is taking a lot of effort because we have had to cut off our phone 5,000 times because we don't have enough storage. Okay,
we'll
let me do the good ones. Okay. Those are a really good question. Okay, I'm going to do the last one.
Okay.
Now being married and a year into parenthood, do you still feel like the Lord is putting you through trials?
I feel like the kind of trials that I don't know, I never really thought about relating it back to getting pregnant before marriage, but I also always feel like some of the trials that God puts us through is testing mine and Bryson's marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And
In your faith individually.
yeah, for sure. And like testing our patience with each other, and being first time parents. Because in the newborn stage, you have to wake up every two and a half hours to feed.
Yeah.
And your husband goes back to work and you are home by yourself with your baby. Definitely test. The Lord is definitely testing during that time. But because as soon as you ask God for forgiveness for one thing, you don't have to do it over and over and over again.
Right.
You've already been forgiven.
Yeah.
But I do think back sometimes and wonder, like, where would my life be if I never got pregnant?
Yeah.
Where would my life be if I never met Bryson? Which, if you're watching this and you know me and Bryson have known each other forever, so it's not like he was a stranger.
Yeah.
But I don't think like, oh my God, I wish this never happened to me.
Yeah.
Because I would never wish that, ever. I could not imagine my life without Bryson, without Ryder. But I have thought, where would I be if this didn't happen to me?
Yeah.
And I am not gonna lie to you, I would probably be like in a ditch somewhere. No,
You would not.
Really.
Not literally.
But I would probably be drunk right now. If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I would probably be drunk with my friends watching football at a bar.
And look at you now.
I know. I'm a flat out mom.
And you're great at it.
Oh, thanks. You're sweet. Was there another part to that question? I feel like I didn't answer it.
Ryder in and of itself, when you look at him, you just see God's grace.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But don't get too far into it because I'll cry.
I will too. No, he's definitely a miracle in my eyes, and I'm gonna cry.
No!
If I could look back and talk to myself,
get it together.
Scene. Talk to myself when I first found out.
Hold it in.
Give me a second. Okay, I'm good. I just can't look at you and talk. I'll look at the camera. If I could go back and look at myself when I first found out I was pregnant, I would literally I would shake me as hard as I possibly could and be like, stop, you are fine. You are fine. God is doing this to you for a reason, and this is just a testimony for you.
Amen.
And I tell people all the time, my biggest regret was not being, you've probably heard me tell this to every single client who sat in my chair. My biggest regret was not being happy when I found out I was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. And now here I am crying. But hey, this is the rule in the roll, okay?
Hey, didn't think that we'd be crying the first episode, but here we are.
Here we are, getting emotional.
Anyways, let's bring it back. Okay, so now we're going to get into just the Q&As. And hopefully they're not deep because I'm done crying for today.
I know, me too. I'm messing up my makeup.
Okay, where are they? Here, you find them.
Okay. I'm not reading that one. Where did the name come from?
We went into this a little bit on our live. And our name before was dumb, but we were talking about what we wanted to talk about in general, and Jessie said something about, or no, yeah, you did. You said something about
being raw.
Yeah, that was the whole goal. We wanted to be raw and like
honest.
Yeah,
and just No hiding.
Yep. And then I was like, the real and the raw. Like,
Shelby
we
was
want
like,
this.
Jessie, that's it. I said, what? And she said, the real and the raw. I said,
And that was
so
her.
good. Okay. Next question. How you met your hubbies? Go ahead.
Okay. It's I feel like I can condense it now, but because we can go into like a deeper story, like all the details of our husbands and like how we met them. But basically, I was a sophomore in high school. Luke was a junior in high school. I saw him on Instagram actually, and my friend,
I did not know that.
my friend was actually interested in him, and I was like, sorry girl. Dibs. I did. And I wasn't even at Metrolina then. And then I went, and Luke says that he called dibs. I'm not sure. But yeah, we met, and we had that little phase of like, we're only going to text each other and we're not going to talk to each other in person. So it was so awkward. And then one of my friends was dating his best friend at the time, and we were together, and Luke was like, hey, we should like, while we're there, we should probably like cuddle to make them feel better. Or like, so they can like do their thing. And I was like, okay, and you're smooth.
Slick.
And yeah, we dated all throughout high school, college, dated throughout college. I was home for a little bit. I was in Boone for 6 months and hated it. Moved home, was still pursuing the medical field. And then I realized I was like, this is not what I want to do. And dropped out, enrolled into cosmetology school the next day. And yeah.
Here we are.
But then, I mean, so after college,
y'all still dated?
Yeah, we still
college.
dated. There was never a time of like,
y'all were together for
we were together for
married?
6 years.
6 years.
We hit 6 years like 2 weeks before we got married. And we got engaged May of 2022. No.
2021.
No. Yeah. 2021. Right?
2023. You got married in 2022.
Okay. And yeah, we got engaged, and then 10 months later got married. And
next month will be a year of marriage.
I know. It's
wow.
Literally, I was talking to him the other day. I was like, what? We've been married for almost a year. It flew by.
Right?
Anyways, go about Bryson.
Well, I don't really know when we first officially met.
I asked all this the other day too.
But we obviously followed each other on the social medias, but our dads actually worked together back in the day. They were bouncers together, security, I guess, at some club in Charlotte. And then our dads coached t-ball together. But I don't even know if I was born yet. Maybe I was. I was definitely born, but I'm 2 years younger.
Yeah.
And then I think I was 15 and he was 17.
Baby.
Yeah, and he asked me out on a date. And I know this is my dad knew he was a good one. He came and picked me up at my parents' house. And I don't remember if it was an old Ford or an old Chevy, but it was old. Like it was old, but he was so proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a bench seat, so there wasn't a back seat. It was 2-door something. I don't remember what it was, but we went to Logan's Roadhouse, and he was up talking to people the whole time we were eating, and I was like, yeah, I'm never doing this again.
He's a social butterfly, that's for sure. Let's do favorite thing about doing hair.
My favorite thing is definitely making people feel pretty, boosting that confidence.
That's
right.
I
said that on the live, but it's my favorite thing.
I will
to talk.
Yeah,
I love to talk.
That's what I was about to say. Still, I was like that, and like I just love talking all day, or just like hearing people's stories, and like when you're sitting in that chair, things can go deep fast. Like we get down to it.
We're able to have the job title hairstylist,
photographer,
and
Counselor.
Yeah, counselor.
Yeah, all of it for sure. Bestie.
Yeah.
You meet so many great people when you're doing
Absolutely.
people's hair.
Your pet peeve.
One of my biggest pet peeves, and this is going to be a rabbit hole, and I won't get too much into it, but one of my biggest pet peeves, especially in dating, was people, before me and Luke went to college, people would always say, like, don't get tied down, like, have fun in college, meet new people, blah, 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 which, yes, meet new people, but I got so mad because it felt like people were saying, go sleep around, go drink, like, do all these things. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I found my person. I want to be with him.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me.
Right.
So I would get
Don't
really
tell me
mad.
what to do.
Yeah. And I was like, if I would have listened to them,
who knows where you'd be right now.
right.
Mhm.
I didn't want that for my life.
Yep.
And I know Luke didn't want that for his life either,
Oh,
because
for sure.
look at me. Just kidding. We're taking that out.
Oh, mine is not that deep.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
One of my biggest pet peeves is snacking. Except for Ryder. Ryder snacking is really cute.
Everything he does is cute.
I know. Everything he does is cute. He is my whole world. And then I cannot stand the sound of fingernails scratching paper.
Ooh.
Like, I have goosebumps right now.
Oof.
Or like nail
chalkboard.
Oh God, goosebumps. Don't.
Yeah, let's not talk
let's
about
not
it.
about that.
Okay, what is your end goal with this? I don't think either of us know the answer to that question at this point. I honestly, like, it's just so fun, like, just to talk. And I feel like just us setting aside time just for ourselves, just to chit chat, like,
and
it's just
not
fun.
even just like, we're not doing this to try and, get out there and act like we're something cool or anything.
Yeah,
it's definitely nice, especially when you're a mom, to just be able to sit in silence and just have a conversation with someone who can talk back to you.
Yeah.
And like, not have to worry about your youngin for a whole like hour. It's just, it feels like 24 hours of silence to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not used to just not having Ryder around me all the time.
I'm saying yeah as if I have children. I have 6 nieces and nephews.
Yeah, you're agreeing with me.
Yeah.
But I don't know where we see this going. We're just doing it because we're having fun.
Yeah, and it does do really well about, like, getting out of our comfort zones. Like, I've never been a very, like, aside from hair, I've never been a very talkative person outside of, that. And I feel like for every single aspect of my life, when it comes to meeting new friends, when it comes to, like, fellowship and all that stuff, I feel like being able to talk like this and talking about, like, this stuff that sometimes isn't very fun to talk about is a really healthy thing to do.
No, absolutely. And it definitely gets you talking about things that you don't necessarily want to talk about.
Yeah.
But you need to talk about it.
Yeah.
You need to talk about what makes you uncomfortable.
Yep.
I know. It's crazy.
But anyways, that's the podcast for today. I hope y'all loved it. I thank you, Jessie, for being very vulnerable with me. And I hope y'all enjoy it. I know it's probably going to be a little bit longer than the last one, obviously, but it was.
It's worth a listen for sure.
But if you have any other questions, we're probably going to do Q&As at the end of every single one. But thanks for tuning in if you made it all the way.
But we'll see you next time.
Bye, sisters.